I'm gonna say that as they stand, the Imperial Reavers disappoint me because it feels like they did just enough adjustment for them to be okay. Greetings, everybody. I'm Sophis, and as usual, whenever Triumph announces a new DLC for Age of Wonders, me and Bootman, we sit down and we kind of review what we speculated back at the start of an expansion pass, see what they added, and usually talk about the free updates. So that's pretty much what we'll be doing. And we're quite excited for this one because this one was the one with the least amount of information and a lot of speculation on our end. And we expected some pretty wild things, and I think some of it we didn't get, but what we did get was pretty fun.
I got
So
my
yeah,
dream DLC.
yeah, you were very excited for it. I think for me, the excitement was for the Reaver update because they're my favorites, and at least the initial announcement I wasn't as excited, but playing it, I got more excited. I think that, it doesn't come off as interesting in text as it does in practice. But so you want to go ahead, Bootman, and talk a little bit since this is your dream DLC after all.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So it's heavily focused on narrative content, which is totally fine. I'm hoping that this means we're going to get a lot more realm traits. I was watching the stream and they had some pretty wacky realm traits for the one they saw. So I'm hoping that means we're going to get even more and that they're applicable. One was like you start with no cities.
Oh, that's new.
Yep. And another one called like boroughs or something where there are city states but they only exist underground, so it's like they're all hiding from you when you show up on the surface. And
I mean that's pretty interesting, and I think that allows for some interesting maps.
yeah, I'm hoping that the other two story ones also have very neat things in that realm. I've really enjoyed what they've done with the realms over time. Like I know some people weren't crazy about the unique realm traits from the Nomads DLC. I'm a pretty big fan of them. I think it allows for a very different kind of game that is very fun in its own ways.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Nomads got a mixed reception. Rise from Ruin was,
Me too.
yeah, it was a pretty solid DLC by all accounts
I
on
thought it
my
was
end.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. The nomad culture actually works, which is a miracle on its own. um,
yeah,
and the special realm traits are very cool. They're not as crazy as there's like some realm traits that exist that are like, research doesn't matter. You unlock tomes just over time and stuff like that. That completely and fundamentally change the game. And I'm not a huge fan of those. But this is like pushing a realm trait as far as possible in that direction before it starts being no fun.
I mean, I kind of see the point of that trait for like multiplayer because we all have that friend in the group who is the tryhard and who can definitely like beat everyone in 1 second. So that's sort of a power limiter. So the match is a little more fair. I see it from that perspective. It's a more gameplay oriented thing than a loreful thing or a challenge.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it because there is some elements of balancing. It makes anything that gets research less valuable.
Yeah.
It's complicated to talk about, but that's not the whole point. So story mode. I'm not a big story mode guy, but I am. I actually, he's like, I say not a big. I enjoy all the story modes they've given us. It's just not something that I do more than once per story. So it's not something that I highly prioritize. What I do prioritize and what I rail on about, and I believe was my dream speculation for this DLC, was that it would be full of tomes.
Yeah. And you actually got it right. 6 tomes in this DLC. This is
I
above the
am over the
average.
moon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm over the moon at 6
I
tomes.
mean, we used to have what, 4 per expansion, then it was 3 per expansion for a while, and then they just dropped
It
6 on
it
us.
it just depends on the expansion. A lot of them will have I think some of them it's a whole thing. But yeah, we've never gotten more than 4 in a single expansion. Umbral was 4 technically. It had 3 literal tomes, but then it had the Eldritch tome, which they counted as the 4th tome. But yeah, this one, it's got 6, and I cannot wait to speculate on these and
Yeah.
talk about what we do know about them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll down to this visual so we have a little look at them. What surprised me was the amount of lower tier tomes, because what we did speculate on last time was that we would get a lot of tier 5 tomes, hybrids possibly. And that's actually true. We do have the most hybrid of tier 5 tome can be with the Tome of the Cosmos, but I think that it's surprising that they kind of split the focus between early game stuff and late game stuff. I really thought this was going to be pretty much a late game focused DLC. I'm not complaining. I'm
I
just
thought that was definitely
surprised.
possible just because of the state the tier 5s are in currently. I've talked about it before, but the tier 5s are sometimes they're not very good, sometimes they're broken, sometimes they're pigeonholey. For instance, what's the point of going all in on Shadow if you're not being undead? If you get Eternal Lord, you get not a huge amount of bonus if you're not going undead.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes that assumption for you. And there's lots of stuff like that. God Emperor, it's got some good stuff in it, but if you're not going faithful/zeal, then what are you even doing there? And it's just it's one of those things that I'm not in love with. So I thought there was a possibility we would get more tier 5s. However, that's like you said, the early game is much more impactful. It's much more important. It shapes the flavor of the run more. We've gotten a lot of tier 4s over time. Like I think tier 4 is like full to bursting
Oh
with
yeah.
like really high quality
Yeah.
options.
It definitely is. I think we could use a lot more hybrids early on, because when making builds for, the channel in general, a lot of times I have more problems with affinities, and then I have people in the comments like, "Hey, why didn't you add said this tome or this other tome?" And I'm like, "Man, the math behind the affinities, it just doesn't add up. I need this really weird tome that makes no sense for this build just for the affinities." And it's not
I
like,
have that happen all the time.
yeah, and it's not like the old days when, your ruler would affect the affinities and you could kind of trick stuff with respec.
It was so cheap. It was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cheap.
I'll admit it was a bit of an exploit, but it helped sometimes. It helped.
It's way better how it is now, but like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
made things a lot easier.
At least we have dragons still. Dragons still affect it a little
Yep.
tiny bit, so it's something. But
It's
yeah,
very very interesting thing about dragons. I'm not sure why they decided on that flavor for them to give them the affinity. It's interesting. I'm just not sure where it came from.
yeah, I'm not sure either. Maybe lore or something that I'm completely missing because I'm more sandbox.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So
have. No, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the tier 5 real quick
Oh
since
yeah,
that's
sure,
probably
sure.
the start of the show. So and I have notes on it because I watched the stream and
Yeah,
took the pictures and everything.
go ahead.
So a lot of people are speculating about what the requirements for it will be. So some people were like, will it just be a tome that you can essentially access no matter what? Like you just need a total combination of 8 in any affinity, and so you cannot avoid qualifying for it. Um, I didn't think that was very likely. It was possible that they wanted to make it like a bedrock default tome that no matter what, when you get to tier 5, you can always get this one. But they did not go that route. What they said is either you have one or the other, okay?
Yeah,
All affinities to be at least 2,
sure.
or 3 affinities to be at 6.
which I think is fairly easy to do. Because
Yes.
if you're not playing, a straight up undead build or something very focused, you will end up with 2 or 3 extra affinities that may as well get to 6. So yeah, I think it's fair enough to access that sort of tome. What I'm
It's on the border of too easy to qualify for, but I think it's still good.
Yeah, I'm curious for what the tome itself will do because, as far as you've told me, no extra info on the stream regarding that. I
We
mean,
have a little bit. We've seen the tome itself, and
yeah,
they have not moused over any of the spells, but we know what it has. It has 3 spells in it, which is much less than I thought it
no,
would.
it's 2 spells, isn't it? One of them is a unit, Avatar of the
That's
Cosmos.
well, so this it's okay, so it has 3 things in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It has Summon Avatar of the Cosmos. We have seen the stat line on Avatar of the Cosmos. We're not 100% sure what it does, but it does seem to be like some sort of artillery unit. It seems to be.
It's probable given the way they work, the devs, they tend to do things in a group. And now they made a new weapon type for magic. So it makes sense if that Avatar of the Cosmos is an artillery because the grimoires that they added is pretty much the artillery magic option for a mage class.
Yeah. Then we have Osmos Awakening, which is going to be a buff for your units.
And it's curious what that might do, what units it might affect.
Okay, so to be frank, that is where all the love in this tome is going to have to go. I don't think that the Avatar of the Cosmos is going to be enough of a unique selling point to get people there. I don't think the Prismatic Tower is going to be enough. I think the Cosmos Awakening is going to be where the real meat of this tome is. So I'm very interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I mean, for it to be a proper tier 5, I think it should feel like how Force of Nature or I forget which the other ones,
Cosmic Overdrive.
Cosmic Overdrive and True Death Magic, that sort of enchantment that rewards
Yeah.
you for playing into that tome. But for a tome that is almost every affinity, it's curious to wonder what that might affect. I mean, is it gonna be only mythic units? Is it gonna be every single unit you have? It's very. I think the merits of that tome will rest on what that enchantment will affect.
I'm actually not sure it's an enchantment. I can't see very well on the screen grab I have. It might be a transformation of some kind.
Oh, in that case, then it's
I'm not I'm not sure. I need to I'm loading up actually loading up Age of Wonders right now to check because it's very faint on the screen. But yeah, and then the Prismatic Tower, which I'm very excited by. And I just said it's not going to be enough to be the unique selling point. I'm excited. A tier 5 structure that's a first in the game. And I'm big into, cities and economy and stuff like that.
yeah.
I have 2 whole cultures actually, all based around city structures, and they tackle it from different angles. So I would love to incorporate this into them.
Well, I have one thing to say about this, but I think it's better saved as a segue for a later section. So I'll just briefly say on the note of that structure that I'm wondering if it's gonna be something you have in every city or if it's gonna be a only in your capital kind of building. Because for a tier 5
That would break my
structure,
heart. If it's only the capital, that would break my heart.
I mean, it's possible. We do have the precedent for it with the Crimson Reign. The Crimson Court, I'm pretty sure is capital only.
Oh, it's very possible. I just I'd be very sad. I like,
Yeah.
I like it being mass producible. Also, I just checked and yeah, I zoomed in real hard, expanded, but yada yada yada. This Cosmos Awakening is an enchantment.
Oh, so yeah, it's very curious what that might do. But again, it's going to depend on what it affects. Because
I'm gonna
if,
guess there's so little in this tome, it has to affect like everything, right?
I mean,
This this has to be a unique selling point.
I would assume that yes, especially since if one of the requirements is having two affinity in everything, basically you're making quite a mishmash of things. You're mixing up a lot of different things, the way the game is split. So
Yeah.
it has to be something that affects everybody, or else it's going to be really sucky because then it's going to be a tome that's only useful for one specific build. And then everything build doesn't mean it's specific. It just means you're mixing different things to get a very weird outcome. And, it's affecting everything would at least give it a little boost to compensate not working with any of the other tier fives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we got that one out of the way, and that was just the one that I had up at that moment. I had the information. So we didn't get too much information from the stream on a lot of the other ones. Gluttony was the main focus that we got, and I showed you the stuff that was in that one. It is a very, very interesting tome.
Yeah, the people who did the art for this definitely are fans of the indie game. Don't look outside because I've seen that gameplay, and seriously, this is as horrific as some of the graphics in that game.
Well, yeah, the minor transformation adds just mouths all over your units. Like
Yeah,
it's very
it's
weird.
stuff of nightmares. Yeah,
But so the whole idea, the thing that the whole tome is built around is gorging your units. So when they kill a non-combat summon, they get a permanent stack of gorged. Permanent. So it persists between combats. Okay.
yeah,
Gorged gives +2 hit points and stacks 5 times. Now, you might think, okay, so 10 HP after you kill 5 things? No. At 5 stacks, it turns into a permanent stack of demonic satiation, which gives +5 HP and +5% damage and stacks 10 times.
yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty. I mean, it is something for the long game. So of course, it sounds strong on paper, but
Yes.
I think the problem is now you're going to be very, 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 very worried about losing a unit because now a loss of a veteran unit is going to hurt you that much more.
I love it. I think that's so cool. It adds a whole new dynamic to things.
Yeah, and I mean, with the infinite promotion ranks that we have now, that can snowball pretty hard. I think you could have a tier one that deals 100% more damage and has a godly amount of HP.
But the big thing to note about it is that this is from a racial transformation, which means that this applies to heroes. A hero with plus 50% damage is insane.
Oh yeah, that I didn't even consider the heroes. That's actually way scarier.
Exactly. It's so much scarier if you just feed a bunch of kills to your heroes. It's another thing that rewards you for not doing auto combat. I think that it's great that auto combat works the way it does. I think it's balanced very well as a general rule the way it is now. However, I do think that adding more fun and power and interesting strategies that you can do if you don't do auto combat is very cool. And in this case, you could do things like get all your enemies down to 1 HP and then have your hero knock them off.
Oh yeah, that's a valid strategy. And I mean, with stuff like vampires especially, that's easy because they have a lot of
Yes.
stuff you can trigger in. I mean, it's even better when you. Oh no, no, no! Wait, I was thinking. No, vampires might. I mean, the vampire heroes might get it, but I don't think the vampire ruler would get it. and a dragon wouldn't get it.
Yeah, because the vampire ruler. Wait, do the vampire rulers get racial transformations?
From what I recall, and I can be totally wrong, but just from memory, no. I don't
I don't
think.
think they do. Yeah, because I thought it was very funny because you could give your race like a transformation, and then they'd be like demon undead because they're vampires, but they're also
Yeah.
demons. It's a very weird quirk in the system. But yeah,
Yeah. So basically, we're just talking champions and wizard kings, which I think it's fair enough. The others have a lot of special stuff going on for them, so giving that extra power for them is interesting. My one question
or
would be,
just generic heroes as well. Like
yeah, but my one question is, would all that gorge stuff persist after a match on a ruler?
no.
Yeah, probably not, right? I mean, the
I
gluttony
don't
stuff
see I
would.
don't see any I don't see any precedent for that.
Yeah, I mean, at least you would start a new match with the minor transformation. So
Yes. Aside from that, we didn't see too much about what it has going on. I think over the course of the whole stream, we did see details into everything. Like Infernal Jaws is a tactical spell that can just give stacks of gorge to things, I believe. And also as a damage thing. So um Mystics plus Gluttony plus Wizard King, spam it and gorge up, I guess.
yeah, and I'm also very curious because 6 tomes means 6 new Ascension traits. So it's going to be
Not
interesting what they do.
necessarily, some do overlap.
Oh yeah, true, true. But we might see up to 6 new Ascension
Correct.
traits.
Oh, imagine what the Ascension trait on Cosmos will be.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think the winner from Rise from Ruin really is Warlord Commands because
Warlord Commands is crazy fun.
yeah, I mean it is RNG, but it's free. You don't lose anything from using it every single turn, so it's just a
Yeah.
buff. So yeah, I think it's much better than getting a lieutenant. I don't know the proper spelling.
I
Yeah,
mean, I say Lieutenant because it's fun.
yeah, I hear both, so I'm not sure. And the other one
They say
is,
Lieutenant in Colombo quite a bit, so that's why I like it.
yeah, fair enough. The one thing I'm gonna also bring up, aside from the lieutenant stuff, um, the Tome of the Shifting Sands, I think it's a good ascension trait, and it's pretty interesting, but it's very niche. And I do think we could use more niche ascension traits. I'm really curious what we might see. I mean,
What's the Ascension trait on Shifting Sands?
basically, you can conjure a smaller version of the Sandstorm spell. So it's very good for
That's
anything.
fun.
Yeah, so basically anything to do with the blind status, you can apply very easily. So even if you're not going, I mean, of course, you will get the tome in another match after getting that Ascension trait, but you can start the game and then get your race all the living shadow stuff, and then you already cast that before you get the Sandstalker's Tome. So I think it's pretty neat. I think it's
Fortunately, they've nerfed Living Shadow.
yeah. I did see that. I can shift right quick here to the Sprite update notes. Where was it? A little. No, I think this is
They
it.
no longer give blind from a far distance,
Oh,
or not even far, but like a distance.
yeah. I think it
I think the blind is
was.
only for adjacent enemies now.
Yeah, I think it was 2 hexes, basically.
It used to be 2 X's, yeah.
Yeah, so now it's just melee, which I think it's unfortunate, but fair
It
enough.
was really strong, to be fair.
Yeah, but it was strong in a very niche way. It was a very specific strategy, but yeah, I think it's fair enough. Now I think more than ever, Tome of Shades and Sandstalkers are glued together, because you can't really enjoy the benefit of one without the other, at least in that regard. I think you can.
They are natural friends, I would say.
Yeah, but Shades needs Sandstalkers more than Sandstalkers needs Shades, because Sandstalkers is still very useful for all other sorts of strategies, animal-based, growth-based. Yeah, I think you can.
There is an alternative. You can do winds with shades. Oh no, sorry, shades with winds.
Oh yeah,
Winds has dust storm,
oh yeah, it
which is
does.
very similar.
I suppose, yeah. It's. I guess if you don't
I wouldn't
want
say that's
all,
good, but
I mean, if you don't want the terrain stuff, you have another terrain strategy, I guess. It would be
yeah.
an alternative.
And the
So,
funniest one is like I think it's the tier 5 shadow. I think Eternal Lord has like a thing that blinds the whole field or something.
yeah.
Uh yeah, Withering Mist. For each turn for 3 turns, all enemies suffer 15 frost damage, have a 90% chance to be blinded, and 90% chance to be weakened.
Yeah, it's a very shadow strategy. I mean, combine that with the status resistance lowering from Cold Dark, and you pretty much are gonna blind everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we don't really have much else to talk about the new tomes. I think the other one we kind of get a glimpse on. I mean, we do see everything from the, like you showed me the screenshots from the other tomes. We know that, at least we're speculating that the Tome of Sprite is going to be a famous adjacent tome that's going to help because of the sprites that evolve into fairies. So people that play
Yep,
with
it
evolved
is. They're very,
strategies,
very hair bonded.
yeah, and
It looks fun. I'm not sure how good it will be exactly, but because the sprites are level 1, and that's just the the level 1 units from level 1 tomes tend to be very underwhelming. Like Phantasm Warrior basically exists because it's a loophole. It has a lot of very unique aspects that make it a loophole, but Zealot is like infamously bad.
yeah, and even though they did get a tiny little buff by being magic fighters now, because magic fighters are a very interesting unit type, but I guess it's
Yes.
not enough to overcome how bad they are.
But don't you want to rampantly speculate about the other tomes?
I mean, we did get a glimpse on Abjuration from the Pantheon rewards. Basically, one of the Pantheon unlocks does have a new enchantment, and sadly, this is from a match from before I unlocked it on the item forge, so I don't think it will show up. But yeah, Abjuration is gonna be your new defense tome for. I think warding is going to be similar enough in feel to Abjuration. I think you can even maybe, combine both to really focus on magic
They
defense.
are very insistent that they're quite different. This was so the main things about Abjuration that we saw that they showed us were one, it has a lot of enchantments for ranged slash magical units. So it focuses on that side of things. While Ward is more about the racial transformation and unique combat tricks. The
It's
other cool thing that we saw from Abjuration, though, those are the things that are actually more interesting to talk about, is the spell City Wards. And what it does is it gives the city stability and fortification health. But if you target a free city with it, you get +2 allegiance per turn.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting for any sort of friendly strategy. And I guess the range thing is going to be interesting because at tier 1, the only, I mean, before that, if you want to look at it realistically, the one full ranged combo that you could do was start with, say, pyromancy, then cryomancy, or roots, then one of the other two. you could only mix the elements. So it's going to be interesting that you can start with one of these elements and then go into Abjuration to improve your ranged and magic stuff.
Yeah, like mage armor gives your mages just +2 defense, I believe.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Pretty cool.
I think the one that's gonna do best, and I hope they actually tweak the other tomes so it doesn't really outclass the others, is Pyromancy, because I'm not sure if you've been keeping up, but Pyromancy, the ranged enchant on it now, it applies to mages as well. It no longer is just
Yep.
a ranged thing. So
I always hated that. I hated that they gave you an enchantment that didn't work for either of the 2 units that were in the tome.
yeah. So I think it does give Pyromancy an edge over Frost and Poison, especially since, I mean, I guess not so much Poison, because there have been some good new things for Poison, but I think Frost is left a little bit behind the other two because Burning has so many synergies.
Yeah, the fact that slow doesn't stack, but it has some more tactical uses. It's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah.
But isn't the Lesser Shadow, isn't that a magic fighter now?
The lesser
Sorry, the Lesser Snow Spirit. Isn't that a magic fighter now?
that I can check. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, it is. I just checked.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I mean, I guess they could tweak the tomes a little further. We have been seeing a lot of updates to older tomes. I mean, Fertility itself got a new enchantment that's support only and fairly strong from what I recall. I can check in game because I have been playing, and
when an enchanted unit uses an attack or support ability, a random friendly unit within 3 hexes of it heals for 15 temporary HP.
Yeah. Where is it? Let me just get a quick look into a support unit because they do have it. Yeah, Staves of Life. Yeah, pretty much what you've said. And yeah, it's pretty strong for. Basically, it's a little better than the thing that heroes get, where their attacks heal nearby units. Because I think the hero one is 10, this one is 15. It's pretty neat, actually.
I wonder what the exploit for it is. Like, because I think you want a support unit that is able to use its abilities very often.
Yeah.
Like the banner from Feudal, they can just spam their support ability every turn.
True, they do have the best quick heal out of all of them.
I'm trying to remember if there's a support that just has like a bunch of really cheap abilities that you could just spam or loop around. I guess the trick is you combine it with the enchantment from Famous and Faith.
Yeah, I mean, the Mending Touch, it's a free action.
Yeah, exactly. So you get an extra heal off of that.
Yeah.
That works pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's pretty strong. And I mean, Order and Nature, pretty easy to combo. So, yeah, I think...
Let's see.
Yeah.
The Burning Passion, I believe we've seen. Sorry, did Justin say about Abjuration, actually?
No. I think Burning Passion is the last one we have left to speculate on, right?
Yeah, there's Weaver after that.
Oh, right, yeah. Weaver. I completely forgot Weaver. Yeah.
So Tome of Burning Passion, we got very little about that except that we're getting the Succubus unit back as a racial, which is interesting. We're not really sure where that one's going. I don't really have anything to speculate on. It just says seduce your enemies. We already have a seduce mechanic that we got from the nymph in Glades, and this is also at tier 2. So I'm wondering how it's going to distinguish itself from that, if that is the main thing. But it also says strengthen your units with demonic wrath.
I mean, the benefit is that unlike the nymph, it is a form unit, so it's going to benefit a lot more.
Didn't you say that you were annoyed about the presence of too many chaos tomes, though?
Oh yes, yes. I did comment that when we were giving this a first look, because it sounded so. It felt weird to me because I mean, initially, like I said earlier, I expected a lot of tier 5 tomes and a lot of hybrids. We did get a lot of hybrids, but I expected every single tome in this expansion to be a hybrid in some way. So to see two pure chaos tomes kind of caught me off guard. But I mean, I guess it's fair enough. And it's weird that it's like two of the capital sins, and it's just out there without any other connection.
Yeah, just gluttony and lust together,
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah. And no, I mean, you did say that lust has wrath in it, but I mean, it sounds a little weird, a little off expansion, but I could be wrong.
Apparently, they're all inspired by specific archmages.
Oh, then I suppose that makes enough sense.
I'm pretty far removed from the lore, but that's what they said at least.
Yeah, fair.
Um, Aside from that, though, the last one is Weaver. Now we do know a few things. For example, the Weaver mounts are just going to be reskinned normal spider mounts, which is that's fine. But the Weavers themselves are going to be yet another archer animal, which is a great news for anybody who plays animal builds, which I do fairly regularly.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And I mean, there is the bat, but I don't think the bat is a very typical archer unit. So,
It is not.
yeah, I think if the Weaver is a little more traditional in the sense of what you expect out of a ranged unit, that's going to be better
I'm
for.
expecting it.
Yeah. And of course,
Also, it's a ranged unit that comes with immobilized on its attacks.
yeah,
Like that's crazy. That's so good.
it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. And I mean, that at least adds a little variation from basically only mages immobilizing thanks to constricted from tentacle. So yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Exactly.
And yeah, and then the other distinguishing thing in this tome is the new major transformation. That's a tier 3 major transformation. So we're talking of something in the same level as Draconian and the other one. Which one is it? The
Undead.
Yeah, Undead.
And the elemental
Oh
one as well.
yes. So basically on the same level as those three, but it's gonna be basically another one like Naga insofar as it's probably going to remove the leg and mount slot right from who it transforms because you become a Drider. For those of you unfamiliar, that means a spider lower body, basically.
Yeah, I think that is basically guaranteed based on the art. But who knows what it will actually do? Will it unlock a web ability for everybody? Will it make them immune to immobilized? Um, it'd be really funny. They're not going to do this, but it'd be really funny if it made your units into animal type. That'd be so busted.
I mean, it would be interesting. It would open up a lot of venues for builds. And actually, there's another possibility. Aside from web, there's another thing that spiders do, and it's a little gross to think of former units all doing that, but spawning spiderlings. And it's gross in more ways than one because that would mean every single ratio unit can now spawn another unit, even if it's weak.
I don't. I get what you're saying. I don't think it will do that because the support unit in the same tome seems to have abilities related to that.
Yeah, fair enough. So I guess
We're not sure yet, but it does seem to be the direction it goes.
there's also the possibility of a leap ability, like the monk and like a lot
Oh,
of spiders. So we might not get web or summoning little spiders, but we might get a leap.
that'd be awesome. Just
Yeah.
all your units are effectively mounted, and also they have a leap ability, like the mobility game. I mean,
Yeah,
off the chart.
yeah. I'm dreading the thought of having to fight that. It's bad enough that I mean, one thing I always wanted, the quality of life wise, and please, people in the comments, do point out if it does exist and I'm stupid and never saw it. But I like something that some Fire Emblem games have where you can light up the enemy area and then you know exactly how far they can move. So it's just a little thing you click because you can do it manually and you kind of keep track of it in your head. But it would be nice if it was just something you ticked and then the map is highlighted on how far your enemy can move. I don't like the whole, oh, you didn't consider that this unit can teleport or leap, and so, screw you, guy. I'm not a big fan of that.
That'd be
But
nice, yeah. I could see
yeah.
that one.
So yeah, I think that's the tomes as far as we know it, before any other information, because this will be coming out before the release. In fact, it's going to come out before a Tuesday when they are very likely to announce more stuff. But yeah,
You do you think that we'll do another one after they announce more things?
I mean, we probably will. It's possible, depending on how big the announcements are. I think this is
Yeah.
a first speculative look, and then maybe on the second one we can be playing something like you suggested and just talking about what else was revealed. That might be more interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna comment on the cosmetic stuff. They did add some nice cosmetics. I think you pointed out to me that, and I've been able to check on the beta. They added, at least to most cultures, from what I checked, they added more cosmetics from that culture to rulers and heroes, which is pretty neat. It shows they're looking back at what they already
Oh,
released.
tomes from the tome units.
Oh yeah, yeah. But actually,
No, not the cult, not the culture units.
I probably, but I think at least with Reavers, since they were being reworked, I can be wrong, but I swear there's one new torso. It's a minor variant, but I could be wrong.
Completely fair.
Yeah, yeah. We get new wildlife
Spell
units.
quality of life feature. The new thing that shows you exactly what your starting spell is for each tome.
Oh, I didn't see that. Where is that?
Yeah, if you look at the tome selection when you're like choosing your first tome, there's a little in the custom builder. When you look at the tome and there's a little unlock symbol right
Yeah.
next to it, like Zeal has Zealot, and so you get Zealot right off the bat.
Oh, I didn't stop to notice that. That's pretty good quality of life. I mean, I always assumed it was random because I never paid that much attention to it. So I just assumed it was, oh, you get one of these, and it's just. So it's nice to know that it's actually set, and now we know what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's it for at least this part. I think we did already go here a little bit to talk about the nerf, and they did change basically the Reavers. And I think the really big thing for me, and I think that's going to be a game changer, was the Imperium tree, because they reworked the Imperium tree, and now I think it has a lot more tactical weight than it did before this update.
The Empire tree now is very much improved. I really enjoy it. Whenever you look at it, you're like, "Oh, that seems a bit pigeonholy." Well, there's another option.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
always choose the other thing in the line.
yeah. And it does have some pretty powerful stuff. So let me switch it up to the game, because when we last talked, we had some minor misconceptions on it. And actually, this I unlocked a lot because I this match lasted longer than usual, and I was just playing with tomes just so I could get a look on almost everything. The only one I didn't go into was Shadow, but for instance, one of our concerns, because this was here, this one, it says repeatable nature right. And it says positive status effects on your units, which lasts at least 2 turns less than additional turn. And it does say repeatable, but at least from everything that I've seen here, it isn't, because we were worried that this would be repeatable and then you could just go insane with buffs, but I think this is a typo because we are on a beta, so I think everything here is subject to change. But the repeatable
Is the emblem triangle shaped?
Yeah, the repeatable emblems are triangle shaped. This one isn't, but it does say repeatable. But I know for a fact it isn't because I have been using, for instance, this one I used quite a bit. And look, I'm going to use it right now. It gives me a cooldown. It says on cooldown 26 turns. This one I already used and there's no cooldown. So this is just a typo. So anyone on the beta that is just looking over the options, you're going to have to click it to make sure. But I think the ones that are intended to be repeated have the triangular shape, not the round shape. And this is just something that they're going to fix.
Yeah. Real quick, just before I forget it, I was looking through the update notes, and it says Force of Nature, the tier 5 enchantment and Goddess of Nature, now also applies to spiders. So I think it's safe to say that they will not be animals, but they will probably be spiders.
Oh yeah, on the Weaver Tome, yeah, that makes sense. Turns your race into spiders. I guess that's a new tag then, because then spiders are going to be animals and have the tag spider. And that's safe to assume, given how this all works.
But if that was the case, it feels like that would already be in this update right now.
Let me check. Actually, I do have the
there is a spider type. Yep.
Yeah.
Swift and then immunity to slowed and immobilized.
Yeah. Let me just make double sure here. Yeah, Hunter Spider. It does have animal and it does have spider. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. So we'll be spiders, but not animals.
Yeah, I mean, it would be busted because then tome, the tier 3 tome for, it would boost your race.
Bigger.
Yeah, it would basically boost both.
I did explicitly say they are not going to do it. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, but it would be wild because then you go super growth and empowered beasts, so it would be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure that there's no new tags. No, it does have evolve. Yeah, Spider is the only new one, really. But yeah,
it might have been an existing one too that I just never saw. I don't know.
I don't think it was there before.
I don't know. I'm gonna recuse myself from from it.
Yeah.
Probably one of the bigger changes from the just the patching. Oh wait, we're doing the Empire tree still?
Yeah, I still want to go over the Empire tree. Yeah.
Let's do the Empire tree.
Honestly, I do like that the options are sometimes they do make you stop and think, and the way this is now so full of boosts and rituals to your whole faction, I think it incentivizes way more for you to try something Empire of the Cosmos like, where you have all affinities. Because, for instance, every single node of the affinities has something like this. Production of the city costs less, and then this one also does have. This one is for production, this one is for draft, this one is for... Oh, this one doesn't have something, but...
The trick will be having the Imperium to keep up.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to do it. In this one, which... I'll get to it more when I go into the Reavers, but I did play Vigilante Knights, so I had a lot of Imperium to unlock all this stuff. So it was pretty easy to just go around in.
Knights of the Cosmos, you say?
I mean, Either
That's gonna be your
that,
first video of the new DLC.
probably,
You heard it here first, guys. It's now announced.
I mean, it would be the best thing, or because it's easier to keep up than the other one that gives you a lot of Imperium, but it's for killing Empire units. That one, I think, does give you plenty of Imperium, but it's harder to keep up than by knocking out a lot of infestations. I think that is much
Yeah.
easier. You do see a lot of, old stuff. I think they rearranged some of the
Well, real quick
things.
before we move
Yeah.
on. You're my Empire of the Cosmos. I want to draw attention to the general affinities at the bottom and the two at the end, because I've thought a lot about these, and I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is on this one. As much as I like the idea of cosmic affinity, I do not think that it is going to be in any way at all ever competitive to focused affinity.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot because, I mean, if you hyper focus, you are being rewarded for hyper focusing. I mean, I did this one because I'm trying to unlock everything and try it out, but if your build is very much one affinity, you're going to get to the end really fast. And the end for each affinity has a lot of crazy stuff.
But it's not just that. Okay. So I want you to consider this. First of all, cosmic affinity. The only way that this ever becomes worth it in terms of getting the points is if you have at least 5 affinities at 3. Okay. You'd have 5 affinities at 3. And at that point, you are making a raw profit.
Fair.
That's 15 affinity. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got to be playing really brutally efficiently with your affinity game to get to that point. And realistically speaking, if you're doing this, you're going to want 18 because you're going to want all affinities gaining the benefit from this. Which, in a very long game, that will work out very well for you. However, this is the thing about focused affinity. Focused affinity is not you gain plus 50 affinity points per turn to one affinity. It's to
The
your
highest.
highest affinity.
And you can
Which
manipulate
means
that.
you can manipulate that and you can change it.
Yeah. I get it.
You're like, oh god.
No. Yeah, you can fast track it. You can fast track the affinity you want, then you switch it over.
Yeah, it's just cosmic affinity is just never going to be competitive, and it takes much longer to get online. So you're already going to be missing out. It's just not going to be competitive. If it was set for 10 affinity, maybe then. If it was set that you only needed 2 affinity from each one to get the benefit, maybe then it'd be a bit more competitive. But as it stands, I think focused affinity is so much better. It's so much better that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I went for this. I didn't think of how far you could go with this, and you were quicker on the exploit on that than me. But I picked this one because, again, I totally was just exploring this, and I was playing the long game and exploring Reavers at the same time. So
In the very long game, then cosmic affinity is better. Yes,
yeah,
like if you have infinite time horizon, it is better. So your choice makes sense.
yeah. Because really, the capstones here are very strong. I think the Materium ones are strong economically because getting an additional guild slot is pretty crazy. I have here, I'll show you a few of the ridiculous things I've got up to. For instance, my capital has plus 446 draft. And this one is a city that basically has a lot of foresters, and it is a coastal city. So it has the Smiths Guild and the sea one, and it is not even close to being complete as the capital, and it already is at 417. And I didn't even super optimize because I do have some non-foresters here, so it can get pretty out of hand pretty quick. The ability to have 2 guilds. But
I'm gonna have the hot take as somebody who always like autistically maximizes the guilds. Like if I build a farming guild in a city, that city is eventually gonna have essentially nothing but farmers if I can help it.
I mean, that's fair
Um
enough.
so so for me, having two guilds isn't really helpful to the strategies I tend to do. However, there's two things I can think of that make this really useful. One is what you already discovered, the Sea Guild. You can have the Sea Guild and then other guilds and then build them on the ocean. You can build quarries on the ocean, you can build farms, you can build foresters in the ocean, and you can get the benefits of both guilds on one province.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a great benefit. The other one that is interesting is it removes the opportunity cost from building the production guild early.
Which, again, fair enough. But
Which is a
actually,
very that's
actually, in
good.
case you don't know, this might be news to you. You can actually remove structures, including guilds.
Oh yes. What I mean is I wouldn't invest in it, typically speaking.
Yeah, fair
But if
enough.
I can use the production guild and then still get another guild and get the economic benefits from that, and then later on I can trade the production guild again to get a different guild that is more useful after all my building is done, that works out very clean.
Yeah, fair, fair. Um, I think, well, this is just the Materium, and Materium does have some interesting things. One thing I'll note, this one is very glitchy because this one is super useful. You get basically a collection for free, but
Yep.
at least in the beta, it keeps notifying me every single turn. And I'm not sure if it's due to this, but the item forage is a little glitchy and flickering, at least on my computer.
That seems very possible.
Yeah, so I think the intent is good. They probably just need to bug fix it a little bit. That aside,
Which is your favorite of the Empire trees now?
oh, the branches. It's, I think, for me, I'm a very big fan of the long game. I'll have to say Complete Harmony. Because this here lets you make mega cities. And
I think nature is okay. Okay, it might not necessarily be the strongest one. Like maybe there's other way. Like for example, the one that the chaos one where you can force march every turn at no cost, effectively.
yeah,
Uh,
this
that
one's
may
pretty crazy. Exhausted
that may
immunity.
manifest into big benefits. The astral one that is the old one where you can cast spells on the first turn. That could be a big benefit. That could be crazy.
Oh,
However, in terms of the most obvious, raw, economic, long gain, 100% guaranteed benefits that you can rely on, you can't beat nature.
oh yeah. I think nature and
The
Materium,
nature tree is so good.
they're really good. No, and the other benefit from Nature Tree is you get a second city cap increase,
Yeah, that one
which
blew my. I was like, what the guys, you can't do this.
this was ridiculous because then you're pretty much beating the scaling cost because you have two. It's wild. But the other ones are a lot more raw power. Obviously, casting spells on the first turn is still the top one. I don't think Astral Absorption is as interesting as casting on the first turn, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you're playing for if you can survive that first turn without a spell, you can handle and benefit more from this. But
You can always outspell somebody.
yeah, I
I think
suppose this is more useful.
the shadow one that's like second from the top is crazy. Oh, that one. Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking of actually. Yeah, death casting.
Yep. I mean, that one used to be on the tree, but it's now on the top.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's better than this one. This one is still very useful. I won't deny, but compared to this, I think this has less interest compared. I mean, unless you're not playing, there are builds where you don't have a lot of spells, so I guess Intel is a little more valuable. And that's the neat part about the tree. You know, you don't feel like an idiot because you always have an option. I
Yeah.
played wrong. No, you have options now. I'll say this one was pretty great. I as you can see, I cast it this turn because since I pretty much finished this match, I was just doing cleanup. So I could basically auto-resolve this because, again, 8,000 power versus 3,000, and I know I'm not going to lose a single unit because I just popped this right. So for the next right, as long as I win, I get everyone back, which is pretty crazy. I mean, if you want to... And it lasts for 5 turns. You can really use this to wipe out an enemy with your armies and just keep going and not lose momentum. Of course, you're going to lose HP, and then you have to account for that, but you won't lose units, which hurts a lot more than being a little wounded.
The final repeatable shadow one is also really crazy.
Rite of Swift Shadows.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one can get out of hand. You get an extra turn on your turn.
I said this to Sophus, but this is Eagle's ult from Advance Wars. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought was really great was making the order one that gives a new rally of lieges repeatable.
Oh yeah, this one.
That's such a great option.
It definitely is. Again, the situation is just tangential enough to talking about the Reavers that I'm getting tempted each time we touch the subject. But
why don't we do it? I think we're at the point we talked about the Empire Tree. Why don't you give us the Reaver lowdown?
Okay, so my impressions from playing a full match as Federate Reavers and from playing around as Imperial Reavers. I'm the sort of person who goes bad news first, good news after, so I'll do this here. I'm gonna say that as they stand, the Imperial Reavers disappoint me because it feels like they did just enough adjustment for them to be okay, but not enough for them to feel really, really great. Because now I'm being a bit harsh, but it really feels that way. It doesn't play as nicely as the new subculture does. Because Imperial Reavers, war spoils are still a very much scarce sort of resource, at least compared to what Federate Reavers get. Because you still rely on being at war with cities and empires. You don't get it from the wilds. And I know you can say, oh, not everyone is, just exploring the place and fighting infestations and fighting ancient wonders, but you need to consider how scarce cities are as a resource, both the free ones and the AI ones, and even other opponents. It's a much scarcer resource. You don't have any way to passively generate war spoils, at least from what I've seen. All they did was, at least now, Imperial Reavers are a decent capture culture, because now you don't pay war spoils for what you capture. You pay gold. So that was a huge improvement. It was absolute quality of life, because now they are viable as a culture for capturing stuff. Because now you have a much easier resource to passively generate to have a culture and a build focused on capturing enemy units and using them. But war spoils now are used in a way similar to the architects, because you have a repeatable city structure that every one of your cities gets, and you can use war spoils to keep improving it. And you still use war spoils to get the mage lock cannons, which makes 0 sense to me, because Federate Reavers use their unique resource for it, and it's much, much, much easier for them to get it. And here's my point. This Federate Reavers, they get favors. And how do they generate favors? From fighting Marauders. So, if I fought this, I would get favors. If I destroyed an infestation, I would get favors. Anything neutral on the map gives me favors. Then on top of that, when I get a vassal, which is very, very easy to get with Federate Reavers, they passively generate favors for me. As part of their income, each vassal is giving me 10 favors. So it's really, I mean, here you may think this is a lot, but this is after I exhaustively used it in the final turns of this match, where I was just throwing everything at this last AI enemy. Because now Rally of the Lieges, you can pay with gold or with favors. Diplomacy with AIs, you can make a pronouncement and you now have Declaration of Debt, where you spend a little bit of favor and then you have to pay 5 favors to improve the relations. And consider this, it only takes you 1 vassal to get 10 favors income per turn. So I could get 2 whole AI empires that have a better opinion of me with 1 vassal. And the other thing, what I did in this match, I kept going, making new cities and founding vassals that were my own race. So basically, I could use my own units with the same minor transformations and everything. I had absolute control. And then on top of that, since free cities, they evolved their own way, I had access to my form units with other tome specializations. I had Inquisitors and I had basically, not this one, not Tyrant Guard, but I had some tome units that I didn't have access to with my build, but that I could have access to through this Rally of the Lieges. And the other thing, and I know I'm ranting because I'm really passionate about Reavers, but the other thing is they have this duality, the same way Imperialist Reavers have, where the duality is melee and ranged, where the melee lines up the enemies, makes them marked, and the ranged then takes advantage of that. Here, the thing is, you have Federate Levy and Federate Soldier. So, Federate Levy, they basically do what the melee in Imperial Reavers do, insofar as they heal Federate soldiers a little better, and when they inflict something that makes it easier for Federate soldiers to hit and damage the enemies. So what you can do with this is, since you are getting your own form units, you can basically decide which units of your roster are going to be the ones that line up the shot for the enemy. And this is very useful. For instance, the support unit can now, which basically their use is that. You use a support unit to hit an enemy and then prime them for a ranged unit to take down, or you use your ranged units to prime melee units to be the ones that deal more damage. So it's really versatile and easy to set up something where your own form units, the own units in your empire, you decide how the duality works. It's way more flexible. And another thing, in any free city, you can use the favors, which again are very easy to get, to just click and force the whole thing to go over the end, something that you used Imperium for. So this is an easy to acquire resource that you use for a lot of things and that you can passively generate very easily in a system that you can basically manipulate and customize so that your faction can be whatever you want. You can have a whole build that, where the support just is there for helping the melee, or you have the melee helping the support, or any mix. You can have a hybrid thing, just so long as you respect the whole Federate Levy and Federate Soldier thing. Plus, the cannons aren't hard units to get. You pay for them with favors, but since favor is so easy to come by, for instance here, I get 45 favors a turn, so in 2 turns I can just get a cannon. With war spoils, I mean, I'm going off memory here, but I think a conquest of a city gets you around 1,000, maybe 500, something around that ballpark. but it's gone very quick, and you don't get as much use of it as you do with this. So to me, it's absolutely ridiculous how Federate Reavers are this good and Imperial Reavers feel so lesser compared to it. The only thing that Imperial Reavers have going for them is that they're now a decent capture culture.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of the Reaver update. I think that it worked out very well. I was expecting something maybe more extensive for the Reaver update, but the people behind Age of Wonders 4, they seem to have a supernatural sense of they seem to have a supernatural sense of knowing what to do and where to stop.
Yeah.
And I think that what they've chosen to do here is much less than what I would have decided on. And I think that it's better for that. I think they've done a really excellent job.
I mean, it's fair enough. I do like the new units. So now that, now that I've come down from all the ranting, I do appreciate the. At first, I had no faith in the Sapper because it's its special thing is Demolition Blast. And you think, oh, this is just for sieges. Oh, okay, you can blow up a wall. Very fun. No, but you're actually surprised by the amount of obstacles that there actually are in every map. So this becomes very useful to kind of disrupt enemies in battle, and I think it's neat. It's not.
I mean, it's very combinable with certain other things, like Tome of Glade's aspect of the root is now drastically buffed, and it also creates an obstacle underneath them.
Yeah, I mean, you can do all sorts of wacky combinations with that. Or turning corpses into flora, which I think ritualists do. So, yeah, you can do all sorts of things with it. And the other one, which is very interesting, is the Breacher, because now we have yet another racial magic fighter. And it does have one secondary ability, which doesn't get as much buffs as the main one, but that it applies Sunder Defense and Breaching on the enemy. And, at least you get some stuff. At least Misfortune from the Tome of Mayhem does get applied to this. So there will be some cases where the magic attacks will apply to this Breaching shot. And then in a cone, you can just inflict a lot of debuffs on an enemy. I think that's very neat. So it's basically this hybrid shotgun infantry thing, and it is an optional mount unit, so it has a lot of flexibility. I like it a little more than the Dragoon, but the Dragoon does have its uses and its place. I just think the Breacher has more interesting uses and interactions with the tomes, personally.
I think that is completely fair. I like this. I like the Dragoons. I think that they do what they're supposed to do. They're sort of a unit where what makes them good kind of has to go under the radar to some degree.
Yeah.
They're very they have a lot of what makes them good is very passive stuff. Basically, it's just what they are inherently. There's not a lot of showiness to what makes them good.
Yeah, they're basically mounted archers. That's what they are. They hit and run, and then they basically disrupt. This one has a lot more staying power, I think. In fact, I have been using the Breacher as replacement for the mercenaries once I hit the late game. I use them as my front line because I think it's very useful that they get basically the same benefits as the mercenary does, and they have an area attack, and they have magic strike. Though I do sometimes miss the mercenaries because they do move people, and this is more useful than it seems at times. But yeah, it's still. I think it's good. I think the new roster for the subculture is. I'm having more fun with this, but I also like. I like that they did enough with Imperial Reavers that I'll at least consider them for capture builds because now they are viable, and at least with the Imperial Reavers, you still have the Harrier and the Overseer combo. To that
The
note,
repeatable structure is pretty cool.
oh yeah, that's pretty nice, but consider that it's based on a very scarce material, so you won't get, multiples of that on every city. You will get it on a couple cities, but it still has, some worth. I'll also note that the substitute for the Harrier, since I didn't go over this one, the Pistolier is very nice in the early game because they're very flexible. Instead of going sword and net, they go sword and pistol, and they also are optional mounts. So I think they're a very flexible low tier unit. They're not the most durable, but for those early fights, I think they make for a very nice hybrid thing. You can, even if you can't make it to the front line with them, you can at least shoot. And they do get the whole 9 yards with reaching, just like a mage lock. So I think it's a good early unit. Anything on Reavers you wanted to say, Bootman, or?
No, I think you're the expert, so I'm happy to let you handle that one.
Yeah, I get really passionate about them, even if I don't show it all the time. I like them just from the first announcement because I really like the Dreadnought class in Age of Wonders 3, and seeing anything resembling them made me happy. And now with Federate Reavers, I can play a lot closer to how I played in Age of Wonders 3, so I'm very happy for it. Is there anything else on the update we haven't gone over? Because we did talk about the tomes, we saw the Empire Tree.
I mean, we could go over the patch notes, but we've kind of talked about all the interesting things in it. The change to like how archer based tomes are working, the change to shades. There's a few other interesting ones, but not really worth deliberating on.
Yeah, I think we covered in broad strokes the patch notes, so fair enough. So yeah, I think this is it. Thank you very much for joining me, Bootman. I'm very excited for this DLC. I think you're still more excited. The whole tomes and all the new goodies. I think you're more excited for that than I am. I mean, I'm happy to see more build options, but to me, the highlight was the Reavers. So yeah, any closing thoughts?
Keep buying the DLCs, please. I want more DLC for me personally, and if you give them your money, I am more likely to get more of those DLCs. Go give Rise from Ruin a positive review on Steam because it's been unfairly maligned. Let's see. In the next season of DLC, which will definitely happen, should just be 3 Secrets of the Archmage, so I get 18 more tomes next year. That's those are my basic thoughts, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I do want I do want another expansion pass just like you. So yeah, that's fair. So yeah, that's what we have for you today, and I think we'll do a follow up for this closer to release where we'll be playing instead of just talking. So yeah, thank you everyone for sticking and watching us, and see you all on the next one.